Welcome to the Orykl Podcast, where we ask the big question: Hey, universe, what's going on? I'm your host, Huenu Solsona, and today we are exploring another fascinating spiritual journey. Let's get started. Welcome, everyone, to the Orykl Podcast. Hey, universe, what's going on? Today, I am joined again by Jacquelin Smith. We spoke not too long ago about her journey with animal communication, which she's been doing since she was very young. But she hasn't only communicated with animals throughout her life, she has also had a lot of experience, interaction, and connections with many, many star beings. And I'm really looking forward to this chat because I know it's going to be fascinating. So thank you so much for joining us again, Jacquelin.
Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to chatting about this.
Yes, me too. So I know you've had a lot of experiences. I know you've been on inside starships. You speak light, different light languages. I mean, I don't even know where to start asking you about all of this. But when was it clear to you that when did you know that you had a connection with different star beings?
Well, when I was in my mother's womb, actually, star beings took my mother on the ship.
Wow.
And actually, they genetically altered me.
Wow.
So that some people would call me a hybrid. In the bigger sense, we're all hybrids and we're all star seeds. We're all from other places and spaces and dimensions and planets and all of that. So I came in having 7 different DNA energies from other star beings, but all of us have different mixes of star beings within us. I was just genetically altered in this life by them.
Yeah. How do you know this?
Well, I have memories of it, of them doing that, plus the work that I do, and they have enhanced all my talents and skills and abilities.
That's
So,
incredible.
yeah.
Did you ever speak to your mom about this? Does she know?
No, they, um, the star beings blocked their memories because my parents could not have handled it.
Hmm. I
So,
can. It's not an easy one to handle for some people.
sure, and that's understandable. And for me, it was just part of my soul's agreement to come in with this so that I could, I consider myself a bridge, like being able to look at things from the human point of view and the star being point of view as well.
So you remember this experience? I mean, can you maybe tell us a couple of the more interesting experiences that you've had with star beings and yourself?
I've, it's been a lifetime of experiences. And one thing I loved when I would be on the ship, because as a little girl, I started being on the starship. And these beings were very loving. They love unconditionally the beings that I connected with and who genetically altered me. So there was a class of 8 of us children from all over the world, and they enhanced our skills to communicate telepathically with each other in the class. And so the star beings would teach us how to formulate, let's say, an animal, to think of a dog in our mind, and then to project it onto a screen that they had on the ship. So they were enhancing our skills. And I had so many experiences, but one experience that I will never forget is when I call them my star parents on the ship. Um, we joined energetically as one. We dropped our bodies and energetically joined. And it was an experience beyond words, beyond words. It was just being on the ship to me was like being, we could say, in heaven, because it was such unconditional love. And on the ship, there's no time, there's no density. It's just this beautiful place of total love and acceptance.
So
And
did you actually, do you remember walking through the corridors, if they had corridors, or going into different rooms? And
yes,
what was the ship like? And did it look like more or less what we think of an alien?
no, well, it depends, because the ships are really holographic, but they can materialize and look however they want to. But what's amazing about the ship is there really is no floor, but there is an energy that appears like a floor, and the walls appear rounded. And it was amazing. They could shift walls in an instant if they wanted to. They could make the ship much bigger or smaller, depending on what they want. And they can accelerate into any dimension they want to by setting their intention with the ship. And the ship is organic, it is living. So they set, and they can, we could say, hyper jump into another dimension within a second
Yeah.
and be
Which,
wherever they want to.
yeah, I've heard a lot of recounts and people talking about their experiences on ships and watched so many documentaries. And that is pretty much what they say, right? That they can densify to become physical, to be in our dimension. And that's how also ships can appear and disappear immediately. So many people have
Right.
seen appear and disappear, or they're here and they like immediately move here and back, something that wouldn't be possible with our
Mhm.
our time space limitations here of physicality. So but what do the ships look like anyway? Are they kind of like the movies, or is it, do
Oh,
you,
not
yeah.
really. To me, it's just this beautiful. The ships I was on were just pure white walls, light. It's like
Mm-hmm.
all light, and they do use crystals. We could call it etheric crystals to assist sometimes with running a
Mm-hmm.
ship. And so I got to actually communicate with all the crystals on the ship, which was amazing. And it's no different than communicating with animals in a certain way. And had the wonderful, I mean, at 14 years old, I a starship or UFO came up in my backyard above the woods and just hovered there in midday blue sky and just hovered there. And so I had asked for a UFO to come and take me away because I was upset about something with my parents and 14 years old. And this starship showed up, and they did take me aboard. And I had, for me, I had missing time in that. And they were preparing me for a number of things at that time. But that was literally at 14. I remember looking at the starship in the sky. So I had, a lot more memories after that.
Hmm. And when you were in the ship, did that feel, was it during the day where you would, like you say, miss time, or was it in your dreams? How did you
I
go and come?
was I was physically on the ship. Um,
Wow.
and I've had experiences of being physically on the ship as well as astrally or etherically being on the ship. But I was often on the ship physically as a little girl, like starting at 3 years old.
Wow, wow. And
Yeah.
never scared.
No, because they were like my home, my family, and there was a wide variety of beings on the starship. And there were light language, there were symbols on all the walls, and I used to stick my fingers in the symbols on the walls, and the symbols would come off because they're living energy, and they would dance with me, and they would be raising my frequencies. And so that's, I've been speaking the light languages since I was 3 years old, and different star languages with all the beings on the ship, which to me is just great fun. I just had amazing fun.
I think that a lot of people listening kind of wish that they had had that experience, and maybe others would be like, never. It sounds incredible. Now, these beings, did they look humanoid? Did they look like light beings? Were there different ones?
Well, there was a wide variety. So um, I call them my star parents, or tall white Zeta masters, who are just, they're humanoid looking. They have the big black eyes and they're shimmering white light, and about 5'6", but they can be taller. And the mantis beings, who I have a lot of these races in me, the mantis beings who look like along the line of praying mantises,
Mm.
and Arcturians, angels were on the ship, which was amazing. Venusians, there were all kinds of beings, different
So the
races on the ship.
so they weren't ships belonging to a specific race, or were they?
No, the two guardians or parents I had were the tall white Zeta masters who I was in touch with, but they all worked together,
Right. Now,
doing
I think that if somebody saw one of the mantis beings, they would be a little scared, but I know they're like all of them, they're very loving beings. I mean, why do you think they look that way anyway? And are there all kinds of animal look-alike races out
yeah.
there? Why specifically also mantis? Could it be anything else?
Yeah, actually I talk about this in my latest book called Star Being in the Mirror, My Journey as a Hybrid. And um, I can't tell you exactly why the mantis look the way they do, but that's their container. It's not actually their essence of who
Mm.
they are. They're very loving beings. They actually help to create the grids for Earth. They're very loving, and they're probably one of the most ancient, highly evolved races that there are. So all these beings are amazing, and they can read about all that in my book. And if someone wants to know, they can find what their star origin reading
Yeah.
is.
Tell me, so what would be the difference in personality, let's say, between a mantis being and an Arcturian versus perhaps a
Oh my
gray?
gosh. Well, that would take a lot of time to
Yeah.
talk about, actually, but um, they're both loving, both intelligent, both have great sense of humor. They just work in different frequencies, and they're a different race, but their goals are very much the same: to love, to support, that they care about Earth, they care about all species on Earth. And all the animal beings are from other star systems. That's what my second book that I wrote was about: star origins and wisdom of animals. The animals came and asked me to write that book. So, so when I do a star origin reading for someone, what I do is help them. It's just a gift that I have, get reconnected to their original star family when their soul sparked off from the creator, because then they had that first star origin. And I get them connected to their star family and give them information that I'm spontaneously that I'm receiving from them. And then I give them frequencies, word frequencies to call in and connect with their star families, as well as continuing to activate who they are as that original star being.
Yeah. And is that for them because they've got things have happened that they want to process or they want to understand? Or is this just something that anybody would want to do in order to learn more about themselves? Or what are the main reasons people would want to connect with their star family?
A lot of people want to connect with their star family because they want to know more about themselves. And does it connect to their purpose? Why are they here? And some people are just curious and want to know their star origin, which works out great.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And then I know that you also do light language. You speak light language. Are there, first, tell us what light language is, if there's different types, and who speaks it.
Yeah, so light languages are sacred geometry, or we could call it the cosmic voice. To me, it's music. It's very musical. So it is, I always like to say, it is speaking light. And we are light. Everything is light. So with where we are at right now in our evolutionary process, the light language is a step in our evolutionary process, and more people are speaking it globally. I have the opportunity to work with tons of people all over the world with the light languages. I also coach people with learning how to speak light language because we all have that ability to speak light language. What I love about light language is it can be spoken. We can speak it and use it with our hands. We can dance it, we can tone it. So there's not a particular set way of doing it. What I love is that light language is really powerful. It clears away old patterns, old identities very, very easily and quickly. It bypasses the mind ego, which is great. So it works with our soul, our selves, our blueprint in a way that those parts of us understand. And it helps us to be, for our chakras to be more aligned, to be in touch and aligned with our authentic self. I have had people share with me that they've had healings after we do the light language sessions. So I play the singing bowls. The beings come through who are meant to come through. Not only do the star beings come through, and these are star beings who know this person from other lifetimes, from other lives, but Divine Mother can come through, Tara comes through, it can be anything, we can speak light language, our soul's light language. So there's no quote set way that it comes through. And what's beautiful is we don't have to interpret it or know what it means. A lot of people can get stuck with, well, what does this mean? And, but when I work with someone, the star beings always come through with messages after we have done the light language,
Mm.
just to give those messages to support the person. And it's the light languages, they're so joyful. I speak light language every day.
Can you speak a little bit for us now?
Oh, okay, sure. Let's see. Uloko ulokore karekira, mosu ulokora mahata, ushikiliakara nanahala kali ili kutokarakaha, umahata husu anake iata, usuru unana kari ita, ushamakoro ula lokora wa sukuru kura karekare ira, ushana ushukuru karekarakara, unana loko ulokoro karekarehi. So that
Amazing.
energy actually is a blessing. So whoever listens to this, it will help open their hearts in a bigger way. And this really is a heart-to-heart language.
Yeah. Well, it felt really good as you were speaking it. It is a very there was an energy about it that's just loving, definitely. So and so when you're speaking light language, do you know what you're saying in English? And it's not a translation like you would translate an earthly language to an earthly language, I imagine. It's for
No,
you, it's grammar in that sense, right?
no, when it comes through me, I just allow it. I'm, just being a clear channel for that to come through.
Yeah.
But they often, will share what kind of in a nutshell, what it's about,
Mm-hmm.
or a message or something. So, but I'm not focused on interpreting. And the light languages can also, I write transmissions. They give me the transmissions, and I'll just share one quickly. I don't know if you can see it or not.
Yeah, that's stunning.
This one's actually from the Healing Angels.
Wow.
And these, I have these at my site. These can be used for a person to invite this light language to come into their bodies to heal them for whatever they desire healing for. They can put it on their body or use it in other ways, which I describe at my site. But it's very powerful. I mean, one symbol, just one symbol, can hold volumes of what we would consider a book.
Oh, wow.
So
Yeah.
it's light information,
Yeah.
packets of light information.
This is all fascinating because I feel like it is the way that as human beings are going to start really living our lives, right? Intention, working with symbols, working with crystals, working with our intuition, working with different levels of consciousness. And I feel like we're very much at the beginning of this understanding. And it's people like you and others who have had more experience, who can teach others. And a lot of this stuff also really people integrate once they have the experience of it. I've started having some experiences which are I really have been unbelievable. And as I have these experiences, it builds trust in the whole thing. And you hear something and you're like, okay. And then you just like slowly start pushing the boundaries of what is really real, right? We
Exactly.
know what is real and what is real anyway. What does real mean? Physical? Well, if you mean physical, that's one thing. But if you mean real, that's another thing. And they're not the same, right?
Lots of other realities that, that we are becoming more and more aware of, and that we, of course, are much more than our bodies, that we are the spirit. And I wanted to mention that I use light language for working with animals too, for doing healing work with animals. And
Yeah,
it works beautifully.
really. Yes, I can imagine with animals. Okay, so you do sessions. I know you do animal communication. You do light language for all kinds of healings, and whatever needs to come through comes through. You answer questions for people that want to know more about their star families and where they come from. You also do, you also speak to people that have had experiences that want to understand this a little bit more. And I don't know if you ever get clients that have been a bit traumatized by their experiences. And
Yeah,
how that?
yes. Yes, and I am able to support the person with their experiences. Yes, some have been traumatized by the experiences. And so, and also they just want to, they want to gain clarity about their experiences. And sometimes the perspective coming from mind ego, they might think they were being harmed, but actually the beings were actually doing healing work on the person. So we talk about all kinds of different things. Being a certified hypnotherapist, I've worked with tons and tons of people who want to talk about their experiences. That can be anyone from who has seen a UFO to having a visitation, like in their bedroom, or being on a ship.
Yeah. So why do people have to have their genes modified? You mentioned maybe healing, but I know there's been a lot of operations, a lot of tweaking to our human DNA. Why are they doing that?
Okay, so I agreed, my soul agreed to be genetically altered. The purpose is to help humanity evolve. So they are much more evolved than we are. So by modifying my DNA and other people's DNA, it's like a step forward in the evolutionary process. And that's why they have hybridization programs, which is a whole nother thing. But I have experienced all this in a really positive way. It's not that I haven't had some experiences that really shook me, but I've been able to process and integrate a life of having these experiences, because I was on the ship many nights off and on from a little girl until I was 16 or 17. And I still go back on the ship now, off and on. And
What do you
I love
do?
it.
You go by will? Like, can you decide that you're gonna go, or is it always somebody knows about
No,
your will?
I can decide when to go.
And why do you go when you go now?
I love being on the ship. It's unconditional love. I mean,
I
and
mean,
I
it's a silly question, but yeah.
no, and but I consider it my home.
Yeah.
Like
Wow.
it is my true home.
Mm.
And again, we all come from the stars. That is our true home. We're here visiting Earth. We're evolving. You know, we chose to be in human form, and we're all helping humanity to evolve. Mother Earth is evolving. This week, she's really taken a big step, a big shift. And also, I'll just say with the light language too, it shifts our DNA, it raises our frequencies. So it is a part of our evolutionary process at this point.
Yeah. And tell me, and just out of curiosity as well, how many star races would you say are interacting with humanity right now? Does it
I
seem?
I I can't even guess, because there are countless races. of star beings. I mean, there are more, I think, than humanity even thinks, but more than we can give a number to. I know many are working with Earth who love Earth. I mean, the mantis, the Arcturians, the Venusians, the angels, and I call them dolphin-like beings, the whales. There are so many beings who are working with Earth. I couldn't even guess a number.
Yeah. And some of these beings come from certain star systems, which we physically know, and we can, measure how many light years away they are. But again, this is not a physical being, and that's how they can travel, I suppose, to here from there. But it's so hard for us to wrap our head around, like, how can they be on that star galaxy, which is physically impossible, let's say, to get to, and then they're here. Do they really live there in a physical world as well, or not?
Well, every race is different. So some live on planets and stars, and many of them live interdimensionally. I don't know how else to say that, but they live in these beautiful places and spaces within various dimensions. And the mantis are so highly evolved. They are interdimensional beings.
Yeah. And are there beings that are not loving, that vibrate lower than humanity? And can they travel? Do they visit us and all that?
Well, there's always the full spectrum, right? Just like there is of humans.
Yeah.
You have your very highly evolved humans, and then you have humans that are doing things that are not helpful
Yeah.
to humanity. So there's always that full spectrum. I have encountered some of the, I just call them the lower frequency beings, but my focus is on those beings who are the more highly evolved beings who serve divine love and light.
Yeah.
And I just don't really interact with the lower frequency beings.
Yeah. Well, it's incredible. I think we could speak for hours and hours and hours, and I actually have like a million other questions, but I know that obviously people can have a session with you and ask you pretty much anything they want related to this, whether it's personal or generic, right? Um, and I would love to also post below your books that you've written about this. So I know people can reach you through Orykl. Can you just very briefly tell us the types of sessions that you offer, like in a quick summary of what people can book you for?
Well, I offer star origin readings and we discuss that, connecting with their star families, and I give them information about their star families, and they can ask questions as
Right.
well. Then I do sessions where if a person has had experiences, they will contact me. They can contact me, talk about their experiences, and then I'm able to give them insights into maybe what race they interacted, why they were taken on a ship, or why they were visited, and by who. They can discuss anything about their experiences. And then I do light language sessions, which helps someone to release old patterns, old identities, for healing. And so to get aligned with their authentic self, to shift their DNA. So the light language sessions are about that.
Okay, amazing. And you do your animal communication,
Yes, definitely.
light language with animals as well, which I
Correct.
certainly
Yeah,
would
for
cover.
healing. Yes.
Okay, fantastic. Well, incredible, Jacquelin. We will switch off the camera and probably keep chatting for another half an hour. But thank you so much. So wonderful to speak to you. And yeah, hopefully we'll do another podcast soon.
Yeah, thank you. This was really fun to be able to share this. And thank you for the chat today.
Thank you so much. Bye bye.